everyone, and welcome back to PHAMCAST. I'm here in studio today with Jennifer McCutcheon and Nabel No More, and we're really having an in-depth and real and authentic discussion about real lives touched by addiction. And now I kind of want to shift the focus a little bit, Jen, to this whole concept of redemption. And I thought it would be really good to give some context in terms of the definition of redemption. So let me read this to you. Redemption is, in this context, can be seen as the process of transformation in which individuals acknowledge past mistakes, take responsibility, engage in healing, and contribute positively to society. It's about moving from shame to growth while maintaining accountability. Redemption, accountability, and society. This is a triage that we struggle with all the time. And we're not here to say we have all the answers, and we're not here to place blame, but what we are here to do is have some real discussion about what this means, because we both know people, you certainly personally and me through friendships, that have done things well in active addiction they're not proud of. Some people get caught, some people don't. Some people are charged, some people are not. But when this happens, and there's often an underlying reason behind addiction, whether that be trauma, there could be all kinds of things, and that's for another show that we could go into. But what I really want to get to here in this discussion, Jen, is that piece about, should a person forever, does that have to define their story forever? If, in the definition that I just gave you with redemption, they're taking accountability, they're taking responsibility, they're doing the healing and the work, and they're giving back and contributing in a positive way. Our system right now isn't necessarily set up that way. In the work that you do with parents and families touched by addiction, what is the definition of redemption for you in terms of how you help them navigate the shame, the fear, and the stigma that they live with day to day?
Yeah, great question. Because shame really is keeping people bound to suffering.
Yeah.
And redemption to me and the work that we do is about reclamation of self. It's about reclaiming the truth of who you are. Addiction, mental health, brain pain stems from unhealed traumas. It stems from societal programming and cultural conditioning. It is not a choice. It is not a moral failing. It is the result of a deep-rooted pain. So redemption is about reclaiming the truth of who you are, acknowledging your past, but and taking responsibility and ownership for the choices that you made and the behavior that you may have exhibited.
And the hurt that you might have caused.
And the hurt that you may have caused.
Correct.
Along with making amends with those that you've hurt, whether it just, sometimes we can't even make amends with the person like face to face. It's about making amends, doing your best to make amends, because you can't ask somebody, that you can't make somebody forgive you.
Of course.
You can only do what you can do. And then making amends with yourself.
That's a big one.
Forgiving yourself and releasing yourself from the shame, because shame to me has no place in the recovery game. It actually doesn't work. As long as we stay in the space of shame, we cannot heal. And society in general, and families, and I mean, I was there too. It's like we deem somebody as bad. This is programming and conditioning. And I say to my clients, and I talk to them about their kids, I mean, if I was able to, cut you open and open you up, there wouldn't be a tag inside of you that says coded bad.
Right.
It's not true. It's a belief. It's a identity that somehow we adapted, we picked up from trauma, from programming, and from behaviors that we've been told are really bad. And that only breeds and perpetuates the cycles of addiction. And that's what we're seeing in our society as the cancel culture of when somebody is held accountable, or, whether it's, convictions, whether it's just being held by family or friends or society as what they did was wrong, therefore they are a bad person. And that's where I believe we have to really create a shift through awareness and resources and education to help people see a new perspective on addiction, so that we can heal and stop placing shame, breaking the cycles of stigma, so that people can redeem themselves and give a space for them to redeem themselves. Because if we don't, there's no place for healing. There's no room for it.
Right. And how do we help others not go down that same path? And we've both know people that have gone down that road and have hurt others and have been charged for that hurt. And they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. They have to do the work to continue to heal themselves and their relationships. But at what point does that have to define them for the rest of their lives? I mean, obviously your actions speak louder than words, but if you are now actively doing the work, and as a good friend of ours says, using your mess to become a message.
Yeah.
Then why as a culture are we so resistant to it? I know a lot of it's fear and shame. It's as we see the realities of the fallout of mental health in our culture and society today, and the homelessness and all of this. This is not what any of us want. It doesn't make any of us feel comfortable. But that is someone's brother, mother, father, sister, friend, coworker. And I think having these conversations and recognizing being in community and looking at redemption in a bit of a different way, not putting it aside and giving them a free pass, but rather empowering them to continue to do the work to heal so they can help others prevent going down the same road and therefore having a better life. You see this day to day in your work and in your own life.
And in my own life. Yes. And I think fear, 100%. Fear is a huge barrier for people. The other thing is believing that by accepting what somebody has done is somehow approving.
That's a very strong, yes.
And this is preventing people from, we forget that there's a human being here. And we believe that if we somehow, give this person space to grow, which is what we should be doing, we hold them locked to that defining moment.
Right.
And that defining moment was not who they were. It is not who they are.
Right.
There's so much more going on here. So redemption is really, it's not erasing the past. It's not saying that didn't happen. It's not condoning the behavior.
Absolutely not.
It's the moment, though, that we allow ourselves, others, to really step into and taking ownership of who they are beyond their worst day.
And all of us have had a bad day.
Exactly.
And some worse than others, some caught, some not. But that is so true and so powerful and thought-provoking, Jen. And that's what I want these conversations, this show, this movement to be about. Respectful discourse. Agree to disagree on things, but also to give the opportunity to open people's minds to think differently and to recognize that there may be another way, that there may be opportunity for us to do things a little bit differently. When we actually look at some of the stats and the science, I'm going to read you, there's some studies on recovery from substance abuse disorders that show that long-term recovery is associated not just with abstinence, but with identity reconstruction, purpose finding, and social reintegration.
Yes.
And you'll see on your screen there, that's a study that was done back in 2018. Easier said than done, and for sometimes for all the conditioning and talk and the shame that we all face. And sometimes it's easier to just turn a blind eye and I don't want to have to deal with that. But when we really look at the power of community and not defining somebody by their past, like you said, we're not erasing or condoning what they've done, but giving them an opportunity to bring forth what they've learned to change the future for all of us is what I want to be here to support.
Yes.
And that's what we've been doing with this micro movement in FAM called Real Lives Touched by Addiction. And every year it's gotten a little bit bigger. When I say a little bit bigger, if we reach one person today, we've done our job.
Yeah.
And when I say reach one person, it doesn't mean that I need to change your mind. It doesn't mean that I'm here to agree or disagree with you. But what I am hoping to do is to open your heart, your mind, and the thought that it's possible to change what you've always thought, or not judge others if they think differently. But what I've seen in that movement, that micro movement that you've been leading along with other FAMbassadors like Sandra Murray and Lainey Love and Luke Laughlin,
yeah.
We have seen it grow in numbers, organically, because people are wanting to get in the room, both digitally, because our last event held in Brampton this past February during Preventative Health Month, we had it digitally, we were streaming it so people, and they were digitally able to attend, and in person. People wanted to be in that room. And when we were able to, after all the panelists talked and shared their stories, like Jen is sharing and others, and Sandra's sharing about the loss of Ben, her beautiful son who died from addiction and overdose, she courageously stood on that stage and bared her soul in hopes of helping others and getting rid of her shame, because many mothers also, as Jen just said, lived with that.
I'm getting emotional. My nose is tingling.
Yes, but what really got me, and I'm holding Jen's hand here, what really got me as I watched that room, and we took the mic and we opened the floor to not questions, but to conversation and comments. It was unbelievably powerful. I don't know every person that was I didn't know every person in the room, nor did you.
No.
But what I did know, and what was very crystal clear to me in that moment, was just how desperate everyone was to be in community, a safe community, where we could communicate with one another, where we could share real stories, and even, we're ugly, but that you were okay to say it, because that allows others to do the same and lift that weight off, and of the family, of the friends, of the workplace. And it all of a sudden was rippling through that room in a way, I'm sure you felt it too, Jen.
It was palpable.
It was palpable. The energy in that room was palpable, and people were wanting to share their story, wanting to almost get permission to unload.
Yeah.
It wasn't in a structured way. It wasn't costing millions of dollars.
It was so authentic.
It was authentic, and it was healing.
It was healing.
And it continued a ripple effect since last February into the wave that's starting to happen now as we take Real Lives Touched by Addiction into different communities. Because thanks to your leadership, Jen, you've now gone forward and met with the City Council in Belleville. And you can speak to that in the next segment. But where in this February, when Real Lives Touched by Addiction, it's going to have a ripple effect in many communities, not just in the place that it started, and not just with the numbers of people, but with everyone at the table to have this conversation. Because that's how we're going to change the future of mental health addiction through a preventative lens.
Yes. And that event was so powerful because behind every person that is impacted or struggling with addiction, there is a story. And when we create a safe space for people to share their lived experience, it gives people permission to share theirs. That's what vulnerability does. It opens up the floodgates to be able to say,
this is okay.
I
can do this too.
know I could share this. And it is deep, it is dark, there are some stuff that people carry around that are making them sick, and that is the energy that is emitted. And what I know to be true is anybody that has walked through the fire are the brightest lights for others that are walking in that darkness to find their way home.
Absolutely. They're the lighthouse.
The offering is the story.
Absolutely.
That is the offering. That is the gift that comes from the journey.
Yes.
That's
even when it's hard. Even when it's hard, especially
when it's hard.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back here at PHAMCAST to continue this really important, timely, and needed, long overdue and needed discussion about real lives touched by addiction here on PHAMCAST. Stay tuned.